We're here today to help explain a little bit more about NDC Exchange and what we're doing. So Rene from SITA is our partner, and together we've produced the NDC Exchange product. And I'm very, very excited about this product because I think it's really going to be something that helps the industry move forward with the implementations of API and so forth. I'm not going to do a infomercial. I'm not going to pull out a mop or a chamois or a juicer, but I am going to pull out Keith, who's going to help you understand, I think, he's going to try to help you understand, from an airline's perspective, what they go through and how they move forward through the trials and tribulations of Direct Connect and APIs, and then we'll explain, Rene and I will explain a little bit more about the exchange and how it's working. Keith?
Thank you, Graham. That's quite the introduction. I have to live up to a mop now. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Keith Wallace. I am the Director of Product Distribution for Air Canada. Among other things, one of my responsibilities is direct distribution and API distribution for Air Canada. What some of you may know or may not know is that Air Canada has actually had XML API distribution capability for a long time. In fact, it was 10 years ago, earlier this year, that we did our first transaction across our very first XML API. Today, it's a robust set of web services. We have dozens, if not more, web services that offer everything from shop to book to seat map to ancillaries to changes and cancellations. We have over 50 partners who are connected to us. We have a GDS who's connected to us. We have a corporate booking tools. We have meta search companies. We have online travel agencies, brick and mortar travel agencies, intermediaries, and what have you. The last time I looked at some of our statistics, we did just over 1 million tickets in a year for just over $500 million in revenue. So it's a really powerful set of APIs. We were one of the first to have them. The challenge is that we have a dirty little secret. We are, are they there?
I think they're there.
Let's see. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our path to NDC and Air Canada's dirty little secret. So this slide has two metaphors. Today is actually my 19th wedding anniversary, and I'm here with you, not at home with my wife. So today I am the black sheep of our family. And my challenge, if any of you ever meet my wife, please tell her that I mentioned her, and I miss her deeply, and I'm very sorry that I'm not there with her. But more accurately, Air Canada is the black sheep of the NDC family. We are a huge supporter of NDC. One of the founding airlines, I was in that room in Geneva at IATA's offices when some of the first airlines got together to talk about this. We've been a huge supporter of it. We invest time and resources supporting it through IATA. We are on the distribution management group that governs the standards. Air Canada is currently the chair of that group. So we are outwardly and inwardly very supportive of this. The challenge we have is that although we talk about NDC as something the airlines and the industry must embrace, we are not NDC certified ourselves. And the challenge is that when you go off on a journey like this early in the process, before standards have been implemented, you run the risk of being on the wrong side of the standard once it comes out. And like many airlines, you'll hear how limited our IT budgets are, and it's very difficult to build a business case to, quote unquote, change 4 quarters for $1 and swap out the API services that we have for new ones that accomplish relatively the same thing but are on a different standard. But it is growing increasingly difficult for us to maintain our momentum and for us to hit that next level of distribution capabilities without being supported by the NDC standard. There are more and more innovators coming into the marketplace, which is excellent, which was really one of the main objectives when we started NDC, is to drop down those barriers to adoption, bring innovation into the space, and that's what's happening. But the challenge when they knock on my door right now is that I have to tell them that we don't currently have an NDC certified API. And we've been considering how we were going to tackle this problem for quite a while now. And there are a number of different possibilities and solutions for any airline out there to become NDC certified. The interesting thing when we first started speaking to ATPCO about their solution is that it provides a number of different opportunities. And that's why I'm pleased to say that we are going to embrace and take advantage of the NDC exchange. I would say that the three main drivers behind why we want to do this are, one, selfishly for Air Canada, speed to market. Right? So there are, as I said, there are a number of ways where Air Canada could convert what we have today to the NDC schema. But through taking advantage of ATPCO and SITA's NDC exchange, we can get to market very, very quickly. In fact, I believe most of the work might already be done. So the benefit of that is that without a lot of investment in time and money and resources on our side, by using the transformation capabilities of the exchange, we can publish NDC certified APIs to the market. Beyond that, that is definitely the first and most immediate benefit. But beyond that, the reason that we've chosen this solution among others that were available are the second two opportunities. The second one being versioning. And at some point, Air Canada may very well be natively NDC certified on our own APIs. And that will be on one of the versions that are available. But there will be partners that we will want to work with who will be ahead of us in terms of what is being published by IATA, and there will be others that will be behind us in terms of the standard they're using. And there may very well be partners out there that we want to work with who have not yet chosen to embrace the NDC schema at all. And the benefit of an exchange like the one offered by ATPCO and SITA is that we can work with all of those partners without necessarily having to maintain all of those versions ourselves. But perhaps most importantly, the third benefit is the one that interests me the most, in that by becoming NDC certified and participating in this exchange, there is the future opportunity of really creating a global community or marketplace of like-minded airlines and sellers. And that is a benefit that really has sealed the deal for us in terms of choosing this solution. There are many sellers around the world who will embrace this idea and this connectivity and who would never spend a minute of time or a dollar of resources on building connectivity to Air Canada. We're a global airline. We reach every continent, but there are some sellers out there who just don't sell a lot of Air Canada. I don't understand why, and I'm determined to fix that. But in the meantime, by participating in this community, I can get access to those sellers who are entering the exchange, not for me, but for some other airline or some other partner. But by investing in the exchange solution, they get access to me and I get access to them without any incremental work. And at that point, we're building a community of like-minded people, and the benefits become, in our minds and our hope, exponential. And that is why we're embracing this solution.
Well, thank you, Keith. This is really a fantastic sales job you're doing for us. No, it's very important because obviously you're hitting all the points that we wanted to capture with this NDC exchange initiative. So SITA and ATPCO have decided to join forces a bit more than a year ago. Graham, correct me if I'm wrong. And realizing that NDC is going to be or is already a disruption for the industry and will come indeed with significant challenges. So we've decided that, joining distribution, fares, expertise of ATPCO and the IT, connectivity, networking, and global footprint of SITA to try and craft a solution that would help the industry embrace NDC in a more rapid way and more cost-effective way was really what has been driving and the definition of the concept of NDC exchange. So months and weeks have passed, and it's really great to see that indeed some of the pain points that we were looking at addressing are being addressed with this product, and this is also to testified by the fact that we have other indeed customers interested in those capabilities. And again, the key objective is really to coming back to your point, so just repeating again, but it's really to enable the creation of this ecosystem, which will make for individual airlines and individual sellers, make it much easier to actually transition to NDC model and embrace the NDC model. Going to ADC, going to API management will require that hundreds of airlines at some point of time will need to connect to thousands of sellers, each of them. So this is a very complex meshing. So you need to establish commercial relationship, but you also need to establish technical and API management capabilities, which will be repeated each and every single time, but every single vendor or seller, if there is not something in the middle that facilitates that. So really, the concept of NDC exchange is to reduce the pain point and reduce the time to market and the time to adoption of NDC services with support of this one-to-many connectivity, this support of multi-versioning. Our friends at IATA are coming up with a new version of NDC standards every 6 months, roughly, and we have been told it may accelerate to every 2 months. So every single vendor, sellers will have to cope with that, and what we want to do with NDC Exchange is abstract this complexity from the community and help the community move faster, quicker, and with a lower cost of entry to this new distribution model. That's really the key message, and you said it much better than I have. So we're going to turn your black sheet into a white sheet without you even noticing it.
Or we'll turn the rest of them black, whichever you prefer. So really, it's really a progression here that we're looking at in terms of the functionality that can be added to the industry. So we're looking from the perspective of two companies that are industry service providers, seeing a problem, listening to the carriers, and looking forward and seeing this mesh of connectivity, the versioning, and then trying to leverage both of our strengths and put to market a product that would kind of supercharge what's already happening out there. We see this as something that we can add to as we go on. There'll be more services added to and connected to the exchange that would be available to those who participate in the exchange. One example is a baggage service that we have, a baggage calculator. The baggage calculation could be done centrally for all baggage services are calculated over the same API kind of transaction. We see this as that is crossing all participants within the industry. This is very powerful for airlines to get connected. It's very, very powerful for GDSs and intermediaries to get connected in a very simple way. And it's very simple for agencies to Keith's point, to really broaden their spectrum of connectivity to airlines, getting much more content that's available to them. And as that content changes, right now, a lot of the NDC transactions revolve around ancillaries and so forth, and it can be complex to fulfill a booking with ancillaries. Something like this facilitates that ability and broadens up Air Canada's and BA's and everyone else's ability to sell their ancillaries on a broader market. It facilitates it getting into the GDS, among other things, services that ATPCO offers, or optional services and stuff. This is another path that can be used to get to access to more content. So we see this as kind of a win-win-win. It's win for the carriers, it's win for the intermediaries like the GDSs, and it's win for the travel agencies of the world. We're really here trying to help expedite what is already occurring and see how we can create that multi-point connectivity and expedite the adoption of NDC. So we still have a lot of time left.
One of the points that we maybe didn't touch on is that there are a number of players that could have done this, but given the pervasive connectivity that SITA and ATPCO already have in the industry, it's almost like all of the plugs are already wired, right? And there's not necessarily a need for everybody out there who wants to take advantage of this to build new links and build new connectivity. You guys are already implemented with all the major players in the industry. So it's just a matter of implementing these new types of messages, but the hope is that that can be done rapidly and we can all get into the market very, very quickly. That's an exciting opportunity.
Well, it's indeed a good point. We are leveraging the global footprint capabilities that we have, the scalability of our services indeed, and doing a little bit of SITA pitch for a while, but we have this history indeed of developing community solutions. We created a global ACARS network, the global CUTE system, common use system, which are in 400 airports around the world. And to us, this is really the continuation, leveraging the infrastructure, the services, and hopefully, indeed, simplifying the community transition.
The other piece of this that's it's not really something to be nervous about in terms of this connectivity. It's not like the Wild West that you open up. We have a sister product or a sideline product called the Airline Profile, which really intends to put the controls in the hands of the carrier on what access is granted to what sellers and so forth. So they can really look at this from, once they're connected to the exchange, they have the airline profile, which they fill out, toggle some switches and allow what kind of content they want into the market to what kind of sellers, whether that be geographic or if we advance forward, it could go into the realm of contract fares, controls like that, controls on frequent flyer type things, offers. It can really assist in the controls that the carrier has over who gets what offer when. That starts to lead into supporting offer management, order management, those kind of things. So it's a kind of a comprehensive look at enabling the connectivity to the NDC world.
And once it's built inside the exchange, it's available commonly leveraged across the community, right? So we can all take advantage of it. Yeah, exactly.
I think from there we can offer back to the operators of the conference at the back 5 minutes.
Excellent.
I don't think we're in a place to ask any questions. If we had microphones, we could do that. But if there are any questions, you could just yell them out, or we could give back to 5 minutes. You'll have to shout louder. I'm sorry. What an awesome question. Does everybody know who asked that question? I know who asked it. It's Paul from Expedia. Expedia. That'd be good for you.
It would be. It's a good question. We asked ourselves that question. What are, in any evaluation when you think about build or buy or leverage what's available, any kind of analysis like that, you always look at the positives, but you also try and foresee what some of the negatives or the distractions might be. There certainly are capabilities that we're going to want to build in-house ourselves to have as a native function in our own API. But in terms of getting to market quickly, insulating yourself from first-level support versioning, and getting access to those people around the world that you wouldn't have access to yourself, I don't know why you wouldn't use a solution like this. It just adds incremental value on top of what you may already be doing as an airline or as a seller.
I mean, the other part of it is if you were a carrier that was not getting involved in NDC, we don't really have a place to offer you any support. But I think that your point, if you have APIs and you're exposing them, why would you continue to struggle through a one-to-one relationship when you can get into a community environment and kind of supercharge your connectivity? So I think you'll definitely be hearing from me after, Paul.
It's a two-sided question, right? Why wouldn't the seller do it, but why wouldn't the airline do it as well? Is every airline going to automatically want to be able to connect into the exchange, or it feels like it should be an all-in for everyone and not an opt-in for some pieces. I
think it may turn out to be that some carriers have a strategic partner that they want to maintain and I'll say direct. It's kind of funny because it's not really an intermediary. We just kind of route messages and facilitate communication. But if there was a case where a particular GDS wanted to stick with a one-to-one relationship with a particularly big vendor, I think that probably makes sense for them if it fits into their business model. But for the majority of connections, I think because you're starting to get, it's starting to become like a, what do you call it, a rolling stone, whatever. It becomes something that you're really managing very, it's taking a lot of your time to manage. And let's be frank, like airlines are not in the business of being technology companies. Airlines are in the business of moving people around the world and selling seats. They don't want to be worrying about simple connectivity problems that can kind of take away their focus from other things. To that end, I think we're having great success. I think Tom challenged us, the team at the beginning of the year I'm going to say, go out and get a couple of people interested, and it's like a rolling stone. We're currently working with 7 carriers, all of them majors, all around the world. But they're in different phases. Keith is probably, and British Airways are probably the most advanced with respect to where we are, and we're happy to say that Keith is here telling me proudly that we've come to terms on an agreement, which is really good news. So they're the most advanced, but we're dealing with a number of others in pilot phase. We have a number of conversations going on with TMCs, and those include a GDS or don't. It's really depending on their business model. Some of them are for shopping, some of them are just for ancillaries. So it's kind of, we're not really forcing anything at this point. It's not an all or nothing solution. It's if you can utilize it and it assists in your business, then it's probably something right for you. I have about a dozen or so meetings this week with you guys talking about it. So we're very excited with the momentum that it's gaining. I think we've done a couple of interviews over the last couple of days that are going to come out in the press that'll hopefully be not it would be accurately quoted, my comments, and they'll be reflected accurately there, and I will, you'll see the power of it. This is kind of where we have 17 seconds now, look at that, where the little ticker goes along the bottom with the phone number, and that's if you're interested and you want to get involved in the exchange. We do have a pilot program, kind of free of charge, so you can come and kick the wheels and see how it works, kind of experience what Keith's talking about with respect to the value that it adds. So you can contact me. We're around. My team's out in the hall. Rene's team's out in the hall. Feel free to learn more and get engaged in the exchange.